Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to see how to do string manipulation in SQL Server and also see how to use some other string functions in SQL. Now, string manipulations are used to change the way strings are seen without changing the actual values in the table. String functions are used to perform an operation on a string input value and then retrieve either a string or a numeric value. Now, the functions we are going to cover under string manipulations in today's video are stuff, replace, substring, concat, concat with separator or concat WS. Now, I didn't mention alias because I do not think an alias is a function, right? But I will demonstrate how to use that. We're also going to look at some other string functions in SQL Server. Now, the ones that I've selected that we are going to look at in today's video are character index, reverse, trim, upper, lower, right, left, len, and then replicate. Now, like I said, these are only some of the string functions available in SQL Server. There are more than what I've listed here, okay? I hope to be able to cover all the ones that I've even listed, all right? So like always, let's get into SQL Server Management Studio and then create a connection to the database and get started. All right, so I'll click on this plug here, and then I'll do my SQL Server authentication and I'll hit connect. And for this demo, we are going to be using AdventureWorks 2019. So select that database and click on New Query. Before I dive into the demo today, in my previous video on SQL Wildcats, I provided some questions, okay? And I'm going to try to answer those questions before we actually dive into today's topic. So the questions that I provided in that video were two. The first one is to retrieve all the job titles with development in the name. And the second one is to retrieve all jobs that are ending in ER. So this is my solution, and I hope you have the same answers like me, all right? We were specific in the columns that we needed to retrieve, the ID, the title, the marital status, and then the gender for the first question, which I have selected here on line number 6, okay? And then see the placement of the wildcard. The development is in between the percentage symbol, all right? Because we do not care the position of the development, either at the beginning or at the end of the name. As long as the development word is present, we are fine, okay? So that is how you write you write that query. So I'm going to execute this and see how many records we can return. Okay, so we return only 4 records, all right? So these are the only job titles with development in the name. Now the second one is all jobs with a title ending in ER, okay? So look at the placement of the wildcard symbol. Remember that the question is very specific as to where they expect the ER, right? At the end of the job title. That is why I have placed the percentage symbol at the beginning of the ER, because everything that comes prior to the ER, I do not really care about them. As long as it's ended in ER, that is fine, all right? So with that too, we're specific with the columns that we needed to retrieve. We have the ID, title, and then the hire date, which I have selected here on line number 12. So I'm going to run this script and see what we get. All right, so we returned 45 rows. All right, so we have all these job titles ending in ER. I hope you were able to come up with the same query like I did, and I hope your answers match mine. All right, now that we've put this out of the way, let's dive into today's demo. I'm going to click on New Query and create a new query canvas. For today, we are going to use the data sources we are going to use are 2. We are going to use a table and then a view, okay? I've never introduced view to you all, but we are going to use a view, and probably in one of my subsequent videos, I will explain what a view is. Now, the table we are using is the person-to-person table, okay? So you hold on the table and then you drag it onto your canvas like that. And I'm going to do select all from that table just to inspect it quickly. So we have the first name, middle name, and last name. This is what we are going to use for the most part of the demo today. Now toggle the views as well, and I'm going to use this view here, sales.individual customer. Okay, so I'm going to do a select star from that view, and I'm going to hold on to that like that and drag it onto my canvas. Now with this one, you see the first record, the first table that I pulled, the person-to-person table, it has 19,000 records, over 19,000 records. Yeah, this one has about 18,000 records. Now to just retrieve only a few of the records that I need, I'm just going to filter on the country region name, okay? And I'm going to select United States. So I'm going to say where country region name. This is just us preparing our data for the demo, okay? And I'm just going to copy the name from here and run this. Okay, so in this table, we're also going to focus on the first name, the middle name, and then the last name as well. All right, so now that we know the data sources we are using for our demo, let's get started with the first function. Okay, so the first thing I want to discuss or touch on is alias. All right, and mind you, I have all my scripts prepared for this demo, so I'm going to go through them pretty fast. An alias is used to assign a different name to the column. Okay, now you see this view that I have here on line number 13 is the same one that I have here on line number 3 and 4, the same condition. Okay, what I'm doing here is that instead of the star, I'm selecting only 3 columns: the first name, the middle name, and then the last name. Now you see that I'm specifying as and then a certain name. Now this is what we consider the alias. We are giving another name to a field we pulled in the table. All right. Now in the table is first name without any space or without any underscore. I'm saying that for my presentation layer, when I pull first name, I want to have the first, then I have a space in between the name, and then I type in my name, right? Now you see that because I did that, I'm going to run this again. Because I did that, I have to put the name in a square bracket because there's space in here. Assuming I remove the square bracket here, okay, this query is going to fail because it's a syntax error. The moment you have the space in the name, you either have to put in the square bracket or the single quotation mark, okay, like that. So this is going to work perfectly. All right. So to specify an alias, you can choose whatever name you want as long as you're setting the query right. Okay. So this time I just want to put in a square bracket just to show the different ways you can do this. Because the second example here, middle name is in in a single quotation mark. Okay. So over here, you see that as is present and the different name that I want to give to the column. Now on line number 12, I don't specify as, but then I'm assigning a name and it's still working, right? So the way alias works is that as long as you've picked a column from your table and you've assigned a different name, whether you introduce the as or not, it's still going to work all right. So there are different ways to do this. So I showed the first way and then the second way of doing this, all right? So this is an alias. The second thing I want to cover is stuff, okay? Now, on line number 18, I show the expression of how to write the syntax to write stuff. Okay, once you introduce the stuff function, you have to present in the argument your character expression, the starting position, and the length of string that you want to replace, and then what you're trying to replace it with. Okay, so I'm going to share this whole script in my GitHub repository, so you can read some of the comments I have in there so that you really understand what these functions are, when to use them, or what they are used for. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the example here. What I'm saying here is that in this character expression, A, B, C, D, E, F, at the starting position 2, in this case is B because the starting position 1 is A. At the starting position 2 and at the length 3, okay? So from B, C, D, stuff M and OP in there. So between A and EF, okay, between A and EF, I'm allowed to stuff M and OP. All right, so let's run the script and see. There we go. So between A and EF, now we have M and OP. And remember, you can replace it with any length of characters that you want. The fact that I said I'm replacing only 3 does not mean I have to stuff it with 3 characters, okay? So here, I only selected BCD, but I'm putting in M and OP, which is a length of 4. And it doesn't matter, you can do anything you want, okay? So that is stuff. So another example I have here is instead of using some random string, I'm using a column from a table. So I'm going to run this and explain. I'm just picking the first name with an alias, the middle name with an alias, last name with an alias. And then this is the interesting part. I'm saying that for the character expression, okay, use the first name, which is in this case, the column 1, Saeed becomes the first name here. And then at the starting position 2, so from Y in Saeed, replace the length of the length of characters that I want to replace is 15. Although Saeed is 4 characters, it doesn't matter, okay, because I see some first names that are longer than Saeed. So at the starting position 2, replace 15 characters with what? And I'm trying to replace those 15 characters with a period and then the last name combined. So that's exactly what you see here. So you see there's a period and then there's the last name. So now it appears to look like your first initial and your last name. All right. So this is another way to use stuff. The next one that I want to cover is replace. Again, this is the syntax of how to use replace. Once you specify the replace function, you have to, in your argument, you have to pass your string expression, then the string pattern, and then the string replacement. Now in this example, this is also another random string, but it's just ABCD, okay? So I'm going to find a string pattern here in this expression. Now the pattern that I'm looking for, according to my script here, is CDE, okay? So I'm looking for CDE and I'm trying to replace it with AAA, all right? So if I run this here, now you see that the CDE from here and then CDE from there have both been replaced with AAA. Another quick example here is this one. This is Angelina, okay? This is just a string. Now I'm saying for this string, replace Angelina, okay, in this string with Lena. So if I run this script here, this second script is the results at the bottom here. This is Lena because I just replaced Angelina with Lena. And you see I selected 2 query blocks and I executed and I have 2 different results, okay? Now the results one, okay, at the top is for the query at the top. And then results at the bottom is for the query at the bottom here, okay? So just so you don't get confused, all right? So this is how to use replace. The next one that I'm covering is substring. Now, substring is used to extract portions of a string to extract a portion of a string. So in this example, I showed the syntax of how to write substring. Once you introduce a function, you pass in your expression or the string you are trying to pull some data from, you pass your starting position and the length you are trying to extract. So in this case, I have the first name, middle name, and last name, just like I've been using in the previous queries, okay? Now on here, let me just execute this before. Okay, I'm about to uncomment this out, okay? Now I'm saying that for the expression, pass the first name. And at the starting position, pull just one character. So in this case, I expect to have S for Saeed in the first name initial, and I expect to have C and K for the subsequent ones. Now over here again, I'm using the same first name, and I'm saying that at the starting position too, so in this case, for Saeed, it will be Y, extract 4 characters. Okay, so I'm going to run this. And because Saeed is only 4 characters itself, it gave me only 3 because there's no 4th character to extract. But then on the second row for Catherine, we were able to extract 4 characters from the second position. Okay, so this is how to use substring. The next one that I'm covering is CONCAT. CONCAT is used to merge or join multiple or different columns together with some type of separator. Okay, so let's say you have, for example, I have first name, middle name, and last name. Okay, I can put these 3 names together as full name. So that is where you want to use CONCAT. Okay, now to do CONCAT, there are 2 different ways of doing it. You can either use the plus sign. Okay, you're saying that the first name, let me put this here like that. So I have run this. I have the first name, middle name, last name, which I have here. Okay, and then I'm saying that give me a full name. Now I'm passing an alias. Okay, and I'm saying that for the full name, add space. Okay, this thing you're seeing here is just a quotation mark with the space bar in there. And guys, let me just say this: it's raining out here, so if you hear any thunderstorms, just pardon me. Okay, so the first name, then you add the space, then you add your middle name because you don't want the name to be put together. So you see now after the Saeed, there's a space and there's the E, right? So that is all that I'm trying to do here. And then the last name. Now you see that that full name is missing for row number 3 and row number 4. Okay, those are some of the setbacks of doing it this way with the plus sign. Okay, the moment one of the columns that you're merging or you're concatenating is null, it evaluates the entire string to null. Okay, so typically, if you're not sure that any of the columns is going to have nulls, you don't want to go with this approach. So the best way to do that is to use the actual function in SQL Server, which is the concat. You're doing the same thing, but this time with a function. So I'm going to run this script here. We introduce a concat function and we pass the arguments of how we want the concatenation to be done. I want the first name first, and after that I want the space, and I want a middle name. After that, I want a space and then the last name. Now you see that Kim came through and it's not missing because we didn't use a plus sign. It works all right. Okay, so that is how to use concat. So you can either do both ways, but assuming I removed, let me run this again. Assuming I remove the middle name from this, you are rest assured to see Kim in there because now we don't have any columns missing in the first name and last name. Everybody has a first name and a last name. All right. So let me run the script. Undo. Let me run the script. Now you see finally we have Kim showing because we chose not to do the concat with the middle name. All right. Now let's move on to the other one. It's also similar to concat, but this time it makes it very easy and efficient. So here I have concat with separator. WS is with separator. It's the same function here, but this time you want to pass your separator once. Okay, you pass your separator once, and then you pass all the columns that you want to concat. So you don't have to do it multiple times like I did here. So after every column, I had to pass my separator. This is the function that will help you to just pass the separator you need and pass all your columns after that. So it makes it very simple and easy to do the concat. So I'm going to run this. And now you see we have the same results, but different ways of doing it, right? So that is concat. So now this brings us to the end of all the string manipulation functions that I wanted to cover in today's video. I'll start going into some of the string functions that I have listed here. So the next one that I want to touch on is character index or Charindex. So let's see how to use that. Let me probably put a header here, string functions. Okay. So the first one that I want to cover in the string functions is the Charindex. Okay, now the expression here, how to use a function in your argument, you have to pass the expression you are trying to find, and then the expression you are searching, and then the starting location. Now in this example that I have here, I don't have a starting location, but let's see how it works. Now remember, the name character index, okay, is telling you the index of the character you're trying to find, the index of the character. So you should expect to return a numeric value, all right? So when I run the script here, all that I'm doing is that I'm doing a concatenation for between the first name and the last name, and let me probably call it as full name. Sorry, as full name, okay? And within this full name, I'm saying that look for M. So character index, okay, and then the expression to find is M. Now the expression to search is the full name, the first name and the last name. And I'm looking for M in that string. Now in this first row, it appears that Adams has M and M is at the 9th index. If you count the characters in here, you realize that the character M is on the 9th index. Now you see row number 2. We have 2 M's. We have Adams. And now it gives me only 4. That is the first instance of M it finds. Okay, so that is how character index works. Now let's move on to the next one. And that would be reverse. And that is very simple. For the function, you just pass the expression you want to reverse, and that's it. So in here, I'm using the person table, and I'm specifying the first name, middle name, and last name for all the business entity IDs less than 15. Okay. So for all these records, I just want to reverse the first name. In this case, Ken become NEK, Terry becomes IRRET. Okay. Now you'll be wondering what would be the reason why you want to reverse. There are so many case scenarios that would require you to reverse a string so that you can actually extract something or concatenate something. But in this demo, I'm only showing you how to use them. Maybe some other time I'll explain multiple scenarios where you'd use some of these string manipulation functions or string functions itself. Next, I want to cover upper and lower. And very simple, just like we did with the reverse, you just have to pass the function and then the expression. So now I'm setting all the first names to upper cases and all the last names to lower cases. And that is simple as that. The next one that we are looking at is right and left. Now that is similar to substring. It's similar in the sense that you're able to use it to extract portions of a string. Now with this one, it tells you the position you are starting the extract already, right? So we have the right side and then the left side. So in this example here, okay, I'm saying that for the for the first name, from the right side of the first name, let me use Michael as an example, okay? From the right side of Michael, that would be the L. Okay, the right side of Michael is L. So from that side, extract 5 characters. That's why we see CHAL. And then from the left side of Michael, extract 5 again. And that will start from M with the Michael, and we'll get the MICHA. So that is how to use left and right. It's also another way to substring characters. Okay. The last one that I'm probably going to cover is the len function. Okay. Now this also returns a numeric value. It gives you the length of your string. Okay, now I got some results. So Aaron and the last name, I'm saying that I'm passing the first name to the len function, I'm passing the last name to the len function, okay? Now, if you look at the first name Aaron here, the length of that string is 5. The same for Adams, the length of that string is 5. But then if you look at row number 3, Alex, the length of that string is 4, and then the last name is 5, okay? So this is another way of looking at the index of the length of a string. So I think this brings us to the end of our string functions and string manipulations demo today. Now again, before I close out this video, I want to give out some tasks so that I would answer in my next video. So the task for today is using the AdventureWorks database that we are currently using and the address table, not the person table, the address table. I want you to be able to concatenate these columns and give it an alias called full name. Okay, so try that out and let's compare answers in the next video. I hope you found this whole session very informative, and please do share my videos and do like and subscribe. I hope to catch you in my next video. Thank you for watching.